Uh, so do you guys know how to, okay, there we go. Okay. So, I'm glad we're here together. Thank you for doing past fundraising for us. This is the L'École Communauté Matenwa, which started actually way back in 1996 as a kindergarten through second grade. Okay, here's a problem. How do I get to the next slide? Let's see, here we go. I don't know why this isn't working. Okay, sorry. So this is Abner Solver. He is the co-director of our program. Abner and I met back in 1995 doing adult literacy together. And as I said, it was a K2 and now it's a pre-K through high school. And it also is a training center for other schools. A lot of projects in Haiti don't work, as we know, because solutions are coming from other countries instead of from the communities themselves. So before we started this school, Abner and I were working together in adult literacy. I had spent 5 years in a school that had a bilingual Haitian program and worked closely with them. And Abner had been working in adult literacy where they required two things, which was to teach literacy in Creole and to not hit the participants, who were all adults. So it was common belief that discipline should be by hitting people, and I had explained to him a very different experience in Cambridge, Massachusetts. So we asked the community if they would like an alternative school, and they said yes, and they showed they really wanted it, because as soon as we bought a piece of land with some money I had saved up, the community started to come with rocks for the foundation from their homes. And I think that that is a key factor in our success, that the community does feel that they own this community school, which they do. And let's go from there. So one of the major problems in Haiti is hunger. So, and the more that people go to school, which we feel is an important thing to do, the hungrier they get, because now the families think that they shouldn't ask their kids to work in the garden or do any of these things that used to produce a lot of food. So on the island of La Gonave in particular, if you talk to like grandparents, great grandparents, they'll say, oh, you could hardly see the sun, when I was a little kid, and you couldn't sell food because there was so much food around, and people are passing plates from house to house, trying each other's food and everything. But now it's we're down to families eating maybe 2 or 3 times a week. And luckily we have a breakfast program, so the kids are eating at least 5 times a week. And so everybody's in the garden from 3 years old and up, and so that they have come to respect the garden and see it as an important education, instead of just graduating from high school, waiting for a job that doesn't exist at some bureau in some office. I'm going to show you a couple videos in this program too. So here's the first one, if I can get it to go. Wait, do you hear this? Do you hear this? I want to make sure the sound is connected. Hello?
Hi, yes, we can hear it a little bit, but the sound is breaking up a bit.
Okay, but the video sound is coming through?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Just want to make sure. Oh, got cut off. Okay. So so we not only so it's not just gardening, but actually integrating the curriculum, as you saw. So they're doing math measurement, they draw in the garden, they have science notebooks so that they, keep track of the growth of their plants. And the women who cook for us, they buy the vegetables that we produce. So that encourages more gardening because we also buy from parents who have gardens. I'm not sure how to make this go forward. Maybe my internet is not doing well. Okay. So here's pictures of the breakfast program. But I will admit that the portions are not as big as you see here now because of the gangs. The prices of food have become outrageous, and especially since we live on a separate island in the bay. So there's been pirates in the sea, and they steal the food coming across. So the market women who do venture across to get food from the mainland, they have to go through all these checkpoints where they have to pay up. So it's quite expensive. So as you saw, there's active learning, constructive teaching, and real world application in this way of teaching. The other thing that we're known for is mother tongue books. Now, normally most children are learning in French, even though less than 10% of the population speaks French. So it doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Your population 100% speak Creole, under 10% speak French, yet all education is done in French, which could explain the high failure rates in national exams. But on the books, in the ministry, it says they should be teaching in Creole, but nobody does. Hardly anybody does. So we've been working for the past 27 years to model education in Haiti, that it's possible, that it brings better results and more validation for the children's own culture. It's hard to imagine if you've been at home speaking Creole, you walk into the school and you say good morning in Creole, bonjour, and they say, no, you're not saying hello right, it's bonjour. So from the first moment you're walking into school, you're kind of getting humiliated through language. So mother tongue books, the kids write their own stories, and that's validating their own experiences. They do it in individual books, and they also do class books. Here is another video, which is going to show them talking about that.
Li pi bon pou chak ti moun apren nan liv pa yo. Parce si nou chak apren nan liv pa, nou tap avanse pi rapide. Men lò vin avèk fransè a, même professeur a parfois li jene nan dictionnaire pour le pou. Mais langue maternelle nou konnen bien, li facile pour tout ti moun apren.
Mwen ka pi senti malè, se le mwen fè yon liv pou kob, e pi le moun nan ap li, la ap di, oh, se ke person ki te fè liv sa, mwen senti malè. Sa mwen plis reme nan liv nou fè ansanyo, se yo ke de ga ou li.
Nou senti mou fier parce que les élèves yo bon mwen tit liv yo. Premier bagay tit la soti nan yo même, et puis yo même encore bon mwen phrase pour yo capable écrire liv ça. Ça facilite yo pour yo li pi rapide et comme ça pour yo apprendre. Et puis ça suscite yo vini un grand écrivain dans la vie.
You heard that, right? Just making sure. We're still together, and you heard the video?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. I went through a whole presentation once, and after it, they said, oh, we couldn't hear any sound. And I was like, oh my goodness. Anyway, so
sorry, the video and the mute was on here, but we've been here all the time. Thank you, Chris.
okay,
Elizabeth.
thank you. Yeah. Anyway, so educating the whole child, this is just showing that again, the ministry requires to do art and phys ed. They said computers, but most people can't afford that. So we really appreciate our donors so that we can do all these extracurricular activities. And a lot of times people come in this whole science piece here with the soldering and electricity, and they were working on, you know, creating things that light up. That came from a college in California that was an art School of Design. So we encourage visitors to come and share their talents with us in summer camp. So, oh, and I wanted to point out also in the video, it had said that we had taught 25 schools how to do this. That was an old video because we are now about 100 schools have done this technique, not only in Haiti, but also in the US. We have kids from different schools that do class books, and then we translate them into Creole, so that we have that kind of having other children from other countries, Puerto Rico too, contributing to the library to make this dream happen. Okay, I don't think I need to read the slide. There's more art. The holidays are coming up. If you want to support some of the women artists in our community, we started a art center just a few years after we started the school, because the community was asking for that. So they sell their art at artmatenwa.org. Come on, this is not working too well. Come on. I think my computer's getting stuck. Okay. So, since we were having so much progress, the other communities on Lago Nav said, what about us? You know, we want to learn how to do this too. And so we've been training other schools 2 or 3 years, 20, 25, 20 schools at a time for the past several years. And so they're starting to implement, teachers are starting to come and see a real difference. And as you can see from the slide, the passing rates have improved. So we're having a big impact, little revolutions in different places. This is showing the different places that have come for training in Lago Nav from every corner of Haiti. And that is this. Okay. Stop sharing. Okay. So that's some of it. I was looking for another video, which I didn't find, but I'm sure you can find it online. If you go to Matenwa on YouTube, there's a ton of videos, and we have a couple channels on there. But I had wanted to show you some videos where there was a soccer championship last spring, which we were part of, and we won it. And there's lots of videos of, the last kicks, where everybody's like screaming and thrilled. But anyway, so now I'm going to turn it over to you guys for questions, and I'll tell you a couple other stories at some point.
So, Chris,
Yeah.
there's some echo here, but I hope you can hear me well. The teaching of schooling in Creole, that's really important, right? And very few schools in Haiti teach in Creole. They like to teach in French, which we know that Haiti had been colonized by France. So that colonial system of education is still very prevalent, and it keeps people without learning, right? People cannot complete schooling, they cannot complete their school or get an education because they simply do not have the language skills. So I think this is really revolutionary for what Matenwa has been able to bring in, to develop in Haiti.
Thank you. Yeah, so when we first started the school, we were known as the Creole school with no discipline. And that was because we wouldn't hit the kids, we wouldn't pinch the kids, which are very common forms of discipline. A lot of times put kids on their knees on gravel, just very humiliating and painful things. And I always felt that this stemmed from the history of slavery, where the discipline was very violent against the slaves. And it continued with parents disciplining their children through corporal punishment because they were afraid. It was well known that if your kid was out of line, then they're going to get whipped, beaten by the slave owners. So the parents are like, I'd rather beat my own child than them going through torture in front of me. So you can kind of see this very clearly especially in the countryside, that this is still kind of the mentality. You didn't come home on time, you didn't get to school on time. I used to pass a school before we trained them that that I would see, at least a dozen kids lined up outside that school. They were late and they were each coming in front of the director who, paddled their hands 10 times with a ruler. It sounds very old fashioned. But I was surprised to find out that 19 states in the United States still have it on the books that you can hit kids, use corporal punishment. Florida's one.
Oh, that's surprising.
Yeah, Mississippi. But yeah, they haven't taken it off the books. There's 19 states that still do that, or are allowed to do that, I should say. Yeah, so we have some good news though. I mean, the ministry did recognize us and gave us a a plaque, a blue ribbon for innovation in literacy, which were the mother tongue books. The present minister keeps saying that first and second grade, the publishers need to make these books in Creole. It's called the Livre Unique, which it's just one big book with all different subjects, but in Creole. So they're making somewhat of an effort. It's just starting now. In the public schools, there's only about 20% of the schools are public schools. That's another problem, that there's not a big investment in education. And I would sort of say that's, again, part of the problem as a whole, with what's happening in Port-au-Prince right now with these gang takeover. I mean, we can also blame the very, very top elite that are running drugs and stuff. But I would also say that these kids, what do they owe the state? I mean, they sort of feel like, you don't give me clean water to drink, you don't give me an education, you don't give me a house, that's not falling apart. So I'm not surprised that some of them have gone into the gangs, because now they can eat every day and, have some camaraderie in some way. And a lot of kids are forced into it. I don't want to get into that whole politics, but you know, we do understand all the pieces that are complicating the situation. So we still think educate the kids who can still go to school. And because we're way up in the mountains, we are going to school every day.
All right. So a question that we have.
Now I can't hear you.
Oh, you can.
Now I can. Okay.
We're having a little bit of difficulty because we are on two different computers. And so there's some feedback with the audio.
Yeah. Can you turn the sound down on one of them? Or that will stop the echo maybe?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Can you hear me now?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so yeah, looks like we have it fixed. Poor Anaya, she's working so hard here to trying to coordinate all these two computers. Okay, so in the past we have supported Matenwa, and so we want to retake that. You know, things kind of cooled down. Last year, we were not able to do much, but it's an effort that we want to bring back in terms of supporting Matenwa. And so tell us what ideas do you have that we could do with the group? Okay, because we can get more students involved. We have we actually have a large group of students, but there's another event happening right now, so they couldn't be in person. Some have joined online, and a lot of our students right now are at another meeting. But we are going to share the recording with them and talk to them at a different time. So what are some ideas that you have that we can help Matenwa, that we can support your efforts?
Okay. So there's a few things I would say. And are most of these students your students studying linguistics, or no, it's a club that's everybody?
Study in the Department of Linguistics and Communication Disorders. So it is in the department, yeah. So they're not all my students in my classes. They are in different classes, but within the department. So we
Okay.
all know each other, kind of, if that's the question, yeah.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking if there's, fundraising efforts that are school-wide or need to be related to linguistics. I've seen people create walks, but the walks are one school did that where they were studying about Haiti, and then you sort of took this path and they posted information about each major city in Haiti, so you learn something about it. And everybody who walked through had to, give a donation to walk through it was a exhibition in the woods. But so that was one type of thing. Another school to raise the consciousness around food, they just made like cutouts of pieces of bread, but it was just pieces of white paper, right? With a dollar sign on there saying, every one of these things you buy, this piece of paper, $1, one meal, type of thing. So $5, 5 meals, and they had, different amounts on there. I would love for you guys to try to get people. I know everybody's a student, so it could be as little as $5 a month. But if anybody, if they have a credit card or a debit card, it's like kids need to eat every day, not just like once. And we have 320 children that we're trying to feed every day. And now because of the crisis, we have lots of adults that come by because we basically, there's a saying in Creole, manger cuit pagen met, cooked food doesn't have an owner. So we do give something to any adult that comes by, and many more are coming by these days. So yeah, I mean, helping the breakfast program. Now, you could create your own giving circle. If you go onto the website, you'll see that we have these different circles. So, if you feel like this is going to be something that SUNY does, like a continual BLASK club effort, then you could have your own giving circle where then you kind of are able to see how much did your people give and how much money have you made, over time. And so that's on the website, Giving Circles, under how you can help. We have one donor that donates. He's just starting this, where his group is donating to a particular class, the 7th grade class, and they're going to go up the grades with that class to guarantee that they get to graduation. So that's possible too, or to raise funds just wherever needed, or raise funds for the mother tongue books, because I was thinking you're doing literacy. So those are different ideas. We also have a bunch of earrings that the women have made out of like metal plates, cutting out hearts and circles with a couple beads on them. And we do need help selling those too. So those are all the different ideas I have. But I'd love to hear from some of you. I see all the students here, and it's the 2 adults talking, so the 2 teachers talking. Do you got something to say?
Hi. Yes, I'm Anaya. I'm the president of BLASK. So we do have a few new students. In regards to donations, I did mention that we were having a bake sale in a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
and the proceeds will be going to Matenwa. So I really hope that we can get a good amount of students involved. But just for the newer students, can you just explain the disparity between those who speak French and those who speak Haitian Creole?
Okay, sure. So if you go back in history, Haiti was colonized. Actually, first, the Spanish came, right? Christopher Columbus and everything. But then the French was like, oh, wow. So the French came as well. And and they sort of split the island. That's why you have one side speaking Creole and one side speaking Spanish. And the Dominican side is speaking Spanish. So, but I think this is important to point out, and especially since you're in New York and the New York Times comes out quite close to you. The New York Times put out 5 articles about the double debt, like why is Haiti so poor? And people often compare it to the DR, even, they're on the same piece of land. Why does Haiti have so many struggles and the DR is like flourishing? And it does have to do with language and racism, because even though Haiti was the first free Black republic, the French came back after that revolution and said, we are going to re-enslave you unless you give us reparations for all that we've lost, which is basically the land they took and the slaves that were free, right? So they were saying, you got to pay us because now we don't have all this money coming into our pockets from Haiti. And they were scared and they said, okay, we will. The amount was outrageous. They didn't make that amount of money per year at all. And so they had to borrow money to pay this debt. And they borrowed it from a French bank. Can you imagine? So they're paying interest at a French bank, paying the French government. And so, of course, while the DR side is building up their roads and their schools and all the infrastructure, electricity, water, everything they've got over there, Haiti is sending all their money to France still, right? And it's equal to billions of dollars in today's world. So that didn't even stop until the mid 19th century, you know? I mean, I think it stopped right before I was born. It's so, but it was still, the elite were speaking French. They were the ones who were, during the revolution, were sort of the mulattoes, that children that were part French, part African. And so that's why only the elite were being educated. And when they decided, okay, the whole population needs to be offered education, so it was offered in French. So it's only gradually that people are like, wait a minute, you know, this is not working. Why do only 20% of the kids go on to 7th grade? The rest of them couldn't pass the test to get out of 6th grade. So that's the disparity that happened. And illiterate adults in the countryside, they thought it was good that their kids were going to schools that spoke French, because they're thinking, well, the rich people speak French, so this is how to move up in society. But not realizing or not knowing, as I'm sure all of you guys know, studying linguistics, that you should be learning in your mother tongue, and then you can learn, you know, a dozen other languages if you want. But so that's what happened, and that's why there's such a problem. And even though the people who publish books and, you know, the ministry, these people understand that mother tongue learning is better, but they were scared of the politics of it. Because I've talked to them and they'd be like, well, if we start teaching Creole in the countryside, the parents will say that we're being racist and prejudiced and not giving them the best education that our kids are getting in French. So that's all the history. Thanks. Anybody else have a question? Don't be shy.
I have a comment
Yeah.
from one of our members.
Hi,
Hi.
this is like an important cause that I
But
think.
can you come closer? Thanks. And what's your name?
Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
So I think this is like a really important cause, and it hits dear heart to me just because like I am from Haitian descent and I have like family that have been immigrants and have come here to America. So I think the work that you guys are doing is like very, very good and it's amazing. I guess my question would be, have you guys had I guess support from like private schools, or even like I know like the country's not doing the best right now. So have you had like a lot of resources come in terms of like teachers that have decided to stay with you guys and teach the kids?
So one part of our model is that all the teachers are local. So I used to teach in the Cambridge Public Schools and have student teachers. So in the beginning, I was teaching all of them. And when we were just in elementary school, and then I got some teachers from some of the schools around Cambridge to come do some training, like in the summers. So, but we wanted to also point out that, you know, local people aren't stupid. They're just not trained to be teachers yet, you know? So because our success too, somebody once told me who worked in the ministry building, they said, oh, well, you know, they say that your school is successful because all your teachers come from MIT and Harvard. And I was like, no, they don't. So yeah. Resources from private schools. Are you talking about private schools in Haiti or in the
Haiti, like, have you had any like collaborations or even like cross trainings with the private schools in Haiti, or it's been mostly local?
It's mostly local. We have had a private school, Acacia. I don't know when you came over, if you know Acacia. Caroline Hudiku runs it. So they've come to see the school, but aside from that, not much. I mean, we have gone into Port-au-Prince, not recently, to do some conferences with teachers in Port-au-Prince, because they're still, a lot of them are still hitting their kids too. Not all of them, but so we have done some training, but we don't get resources, yeah, from those private schools. Anybody else? I'm sure you got a question in your heads. Thanks, Rachel.
Hi, my name is Caitlin. I'm the director of recruitment for this BLASK Club, and I just wanted to ask about the curriculum in terms of, I know you mentioned previously that a way that we can help support you guys is perhaps like raising funds specifically for the literacy books to be provided and resources as such. So do you think possibly like on the Matenwa website, is there already kind of like a explanation of what you guys really do with the literacy books that perhaps we could use that and kind of like maybe like have like I could like spread, like I could make like a document compiling all of the information about Matenwa and how they use these literacy books to really help these children learn in Creole, as well as perhaps we can like spread more awareness about this issue, and perhaps that can garner us more support to financially support you guys.
Yes, very good idea. We had some schools in Puerto Rico in the past, when I had a woman involved that knew the schools, that's exactly what they would do. They took stuff off the website to make people more aware, and they created this annual event that became very successful. You know, it was like, okay, the first year they sent us $500, and the second year they sent us $2,000. By the fourth year, they were sending us $10,000. And what they did was this day became like a family Saturday day. And I mean, it's different because you guys are in college. So this event, they would have ahead of time, like you said, you know, some information about it. And then every kid, since it was like preschool through high school, was, you know, dancing up on stage. So all their parents came and everybody had to pay a ticket. And gradually they invited vendors and stuff who also paid for tables. So that was a small thing that became big. And I think you can use that video. It's right on, if you can't find it on YouTube, or it's also on our website, the AJ video, AJ Plus. And yeah, you'll find some information on the website, matenwa.org.
Perhaps have any like social media pages?
We do. Again, if you look, up Friends of Matenwa. You'll find those.
Okay, thank you so much. It was really informational, and I'm sure I can speak on behalf of all of our students here that we all really enjoyed the presentation. Even with the technical difficulties, it was still very great to hear all the information, especially for us to learn about the great disparity. And honestly, like I had some background knowledge about it when I had learned about it in high school, but to see the statistics still not have changed much since then, and how big and like great the disparity is between poverty and their education is really disheartening. And I really hope that we can work up enough funds to really help and support you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, if you can get, like I said, I think a lot of good support is if you can get people to want to donate a little bit each month. People who have credit cards, it's kind of automatic, it just comes out every month, and who notices? It's like the same as, going to Starbucks and getting a latte. So it's a way for them to be engaged and continually engaged. And maybe what we're hoping is that when they get out of college and they're making more money, then maybe that donation of $5 will become $10, or whatever they can do. So that's really helpful, because it's a bit hard sometimes, the school fundraising that I've experienced in the past at some schools, not all, are just a one-off, and then it's like, all right, that money's not there anymore. You know what I mean?
It's not like the issue still isn't a prevalent issue. It's not like a one and done.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and development takes a generation. So, yeah. Is there anything else anybody else is curious about? Do you know much about, I always rather go from what you already know, and I'm not sure how much you know about Haiti and what's happening right now.
It would be great if you tell us. I'm not sure that everybody knows, right? What's going on in Haiti right now?
Well, right, I used to be a teacher too. So now I'm like, okay, do any of you guys, what have you heard about Haiti? What? Yes, go ahead, Rachel.
Yeah, so I know that since the assassination of the president, I think 2 or 3 years ago, I can't recall, but I know it's been recent history. The country's kind of just went downhill from there. There were always some issues, like in terms of like structural issues, like funding or even like clean water, things like that, like whether it be in the city or the countryside area. But it's just kind of gotten worse. Along with like the gangs that are kind of just taking over, like even just like trying to travel from the countryside to a city. Like there are routes that are blocked, so there are people that aren't able to get like the resources they need, like hospitals. It's kind of like going downhill, and it's like a cry for help, basically. So I know that there are different organizations I think are trying to help out as well, but it's very hard when it's like a structural issue in place and there is no stable government.
Right. So I think when you're raising money, it's good to be able to answer the question, why Haiti? Like, why should I help Haiti? And I say, well, do you know where your tax dollars are going? Because your tax dollars are funding the demise of Haiti. And what I mean by that, we're very involved, and a lot of people don't know how involved we are in Haiti, how we pick their president, even though it looks like they're democratically elected, but we fund whoever we want and we push for them. And so the present political party that that maybe some of you know this guy because he was a famous singer, rap singer, Martelli. He was also called Sweet Mickey, is his stage name. But anyway, his party stole lots of money. So even before the assassination, there were lots of demonstrations in the streets for a few years before that assassination, complaining about where's all the money that Venezuela basically said, okay, we're going to give you a break on the price of gas, so that you can use more money in the government to do roads and do schools and whatever. And it didn't happen because the government was stealing all the money. And it was actually that Martelli person, okay, people voted, and there was actually going to be a runoff of two people. It was too close. So Martelli wasn't even in the running. Yet it's well known that somehow Hillary Clinton got him into the running, and then he won. And then after that, his political party, the next guy, was put in, and then he was assassinated. But he was not he wasn't having elections. So by the time he was murdered, he had stayed an extra year. He had no intention of having elections. And so then this guy who's in now, the problem is the US and Canada and all of them say they keep inviting him to the table for negotiations, but he was never voted in by the population either. And by January of this year, everybody's term has expired. So there is not a single person in that government right now that the population voted for. Not a single one. So it's really anarchy, dictatorship by this prime minister. But the US is always supporting him. And I'm trying to explain it without making it too deep in there. Where the population, what they want is they want power, for an even amount of power for all political parties. There's not just two, there's several. For them to, get organized and get honest elections going, and to turn this thing around and to have control. And that's why they're like, US, Canada, France, stay out of this. Because what usually happens is when they don't like what's happening in Haiti, then they occupy Haiti, or the UN comes in and occupies us. And so every time that has happened, it's gotten worse in Haiti. Aristide was voted, and the US and the elite didn't like it, when he was voted in. So they took him out. They supported the coup to get him out. And then he was voted in again, and they supported like lifting him out and sending him to South Africa. So anyway, it's a lot to explain. But we are involved, very involved. And now what we're hoping is, there's been over 1,000 murders, over 1,500 kidnappings, just in this past year. So, and no legal system is left, right? So, the prime minister keeps asking for the UN to come in and, calm these gangs down, stop all this violence. And so it's been going on for 2 years, even though the there's been Haitian political groups working together saying, okay, you guys, we've got a 2-year plan. And the US was like, no, that's too long. Well, it's been 2 years and nothing's changed. So now finally the UN is saying they're going to come in. And unfortunately, that means a lot of innocent people are going to die in the slums because that's where the gangs are hiding. And they have Kenya that doesn't have a good human rights record against their own people. They're saying they're giving 1,000 troops, 1,000 men. But there's people who are studying all that's going on that say it would take 10 times as many men and women to really control this thing. And we don't want it to turn out like it always turns out, that you just occupy us, decide who our leaders are, and we're going to just do this again. Another cycle of this happening again, each time getting worse. And so if you just try to, Google Haiti, a lot of articles will come up so you understand what's going on at this minute, because the UN just voted like a couple days ago that, yes, they're going to allow the Kenyans to come in, but they claim they're just going to help the police officers get stronger. A lot of police officers have immigrated to the US because they've been being assassinated one by one by the gangs. So we'll see what happens. It's a crazy situation, but Haiti has always been used by these past colonial powers, and it still is.
What is the reason for Kenyans?
They don't want anybody. Okay, so it's basically, how we talk about race and politics. The US kept saying somebody has to lead this international force into Haiti, and it's not going to be us. And Canada said it's not going to be us, and France said it's not going to be us. But basically, because they don't want in the news, on all the social media, to watch white soldiers killing Black people. So finally, now they have Kenya, a Black force that's going to come in that doesn't speak Creole, doesn't speak English, doesn't speak French. So that's crazy. So then they also have forced their hands in these talks. They're all the Caribbean nations, it's called CARICOM, they too are like a unit of where they said, we're going to try to help. And so they've come into Haiti, and it's not like they come in and they try to negotiate, right? This is how you should get back to elections. Get back to having your judges and all of that. I think I got lost. So yeah, that's why Kenya, they're into Kenya. They have gotten the Caribbean to say that a handful of them will also send some police officers or military people. I think they keep saying it's going to be police. It's not going to be the same. It's going to be police trainings and blah, blah, blah. But again, how they do that is like Jamaica, who was saying, no, we're not going to send people. And you get your arm twisted because they're like, okay, we can put out a travel warning that says how dangerous it is in Jamaica. You can kill the tourist industry for all these countries with that kind of threat. So their arms have been twisted and they're going to be part of the group. And the US is committed to put in, I forgot how much it was, some millions of dollars that they say they will add to it. And I'm sure they'll be controlling the strategic planning of how this is all going to go. But they don't want to see their soldiers being killed in Haiti. Maybe drones. They'll provide drones, I bet. With all tax dollars. All that is going to be our tax dollars. So that's why we should be paying attention.
I have a question. Do you think that a lot of the like issues in politics and things like that come from the language disparity and come from the lack of education that so many people in Haiti like aren't afford to have? Do you think that if they were more literate in these topics and if the language disparity did not exist, that they would be able to have more of a say and these issues wouldn't happen in politics?
Yeah, totally. Totally. They were, radio stations weren't allowed to speak Creole until maybe it was in the 80s. They killed a major radio Haiti head, John Dominique, back then, because he started to have a show in Creole. There are several radio stations that speak in Creole now. So, right, more people know what's going on and are pushing to have a voice. And so this fight about Creole in schools is right, a huge piece. We all know, like, why are you all going to college? Because you know that, like it or not, you'll make more money. You won't be, having such a difficult time, a less difficult time in life. So yes, language, I always say it's apartheid through language. And you should know that every political party has a gang. And the reason they have a gang is because there's so many people in the slums. They basically, if they control a section of the slums, there's different neighborhoods. The more their parties, gangs control it, they can control the vote. So that's why all of this is happening. It's like some of the leaders of those gangs used to be police officers. So it's and is the US involved in some way, or people that live in the US? All the guns are coming from South Florida. So yeah, it has something to do with us illegally coming through South Florida. Why can't we spend our tax dollars preventing them from ever leaving and getting on those ships to Haiti? Haiti doesn't make bullets. Haiti doesn't make guns. Yeah. Sorry to be so heavy into that. I can tell you, but 320 kids ate breakfast this morning. They're happy. They're going to school. And 21 more schools are being trained by us. So they're happy because their teachers aren't hitting them anymore. And they are free to speak in Creole. So, and you've been contributing. So thank you. I want to thank you.
Yes, no, absolutely. BLASK is so happy to be partnering with Matenwa again. Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for today. I know some people have to get to class, but thank you so much for coming and thank you so much for talking to us. I think everyone really learned a lot and learned about some ways that we can continue to support Matenwa. So we'll have the bake sale in a couple weeks and I'll email you about that. And we'll also start a BLASK giving circle on the website.
Okay, great.
And we'll also reach out to some other departments within the college just so that those students can be aware of what's going on as well.
All righty. That's great. Thanks so much.
Okay. Let me say bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much. Yeah,
Okay.
Elizabeth. So
Okay.
I hope to see you guys at some point, and yeah, and we
Okay.
can Zoom again some other time. Bye.
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 Thank you.
What the attendance thing?
Yeah.
Should we just like write